If you've ever been a hashtag angsty hipster teen in the early 2010s, you may have depression. Just kidding, but not really. No, but actually, if you were in your teens around that time, you may have been one of us who were deep in the trenches of Wattpad fanfiction. If you don't know, Wattpad is a website where anyone, and I mean anyone, can write and share whatever stories they want. Some are completely original stories, but let's be real. Wattpad is basically a cesspool for literally any fan fiction you could ever wish for. And listen, I was one of the Wattpadders myself. I was an OG. I was on the front line writing absolutely awful fan fiction about Grace and Chance, and come on, the main character was obviously me. That's what we were all doing. If you weren't there, trust me, you did not miss out on much. But logging onto Wattpad to me is like opening a time capsule. There are people on there who are still writing, which to me is amazing. Today, I'm going to be reading some cutesy, romantical, hubba love stories from 3 of my favorite Genshin ships, and seeing if today's angsty teens have what it takes to carry on the cringe that myself and the teens of the past set in motion a decade ago. Now, I'd like to mention that these ships are just a few that I enjoy, and they are my subjective opinion. If I don't read about one of your faves, let me know in the comments for the next one. All ships are valid, and I would love to know your thoughts. I would also encourage you to stick around to the end for a very special surprise that you are not going to want to miss. Without further ado, put your seatbelts on because we are going for a ride today. I hope you enjoy. So the first fanfiction we're going to be reading is Lumine x Ayaka. It is called Let It All Fall Down by Dredgen Soul. The last few months had been absolute bliss for Ayaka. The blue net firmly believed she would never be happier than she was with this woman. Lumine, the girl of her dreams and more, she had wandered into her life and become a big part of it. Whether either of them were aware at the time, however, it was a very different story. The two had a rocky start, but after much poking and prodding, they realized they were more alike than they had previously thought. It was obvious to everyone that wasn't Ayaka, and sometimes Lumine, that the two had a thing for each other. Whether it be Ayaka's constant stuttering and tripping over herself, or Lumine flirting uncontrollably, even more so that she had with anyone before Ayaka. When looking back on it, Ayaka realized the limited times they had hung out made her a much more open and relaxed person. Toma had commented on it multiple times. He loved seeing her that way, looser and freer than ever before. She needed the push, and Lumine was just the person to do it. Speaking of flirting, Ayaka thought idly while she sat on the floor near a fireplace with Lumine, the blonde's head resting on her lap. Leaving Ayaka in a rather precarious situation, either she could move and disturb her, or she could stay and bask in her wonderful presence. Oh my god, oh! I'm loving this. Okay, let's keep going. Ayaka turned her head towards the window. It was getting dark and the snow was falling heavily outside. The two had decided to get away for the holiday. Toma promising to cover for her if anyone, Ayato, asked for her whereabouts. Even Paimon didn't know where they had gone, the two opting to get some alone time without any disturbances. Her thoughts were drawn back to Lumine as she made a small noise, moving slightly, gaining a small smile from the blue net. What is this blue net? I love that they're calling her a blue net, that's hilarious. You awake, sleepyhead? She teased slightly. She had never been as much of a tease as Ayaka, but being with Lumine for the past few months had definitely changed a bit of how she acted. Mostly around Lumine, but still, it was a welcome change. Lumine made an unintelligible noise, causing Ayaka to laugh and Lumine to shimmy her way out of the shy girl's lap, sitting up fully and trying to rub the sleep out of her eyes. Well, hello, beautiful. Where have you been all my life? Lumine said groggily, making Ayaka flush slightly. Lumine still flirted with her daily, even after all this time. She was unsure if it was to fluster her, show her affection, or some unholy combination of both. Regardless, however, Ayaka couldn't say she didn't enjoy the words Lumine threw at her. It's Christmas Eve and you're already falling asleep? What happened to staying up all night and waiting for Santa, Ayaka teased Lumine lightly. Lumine pouted. I was just joking, she mumbled after setting her head on Ayaka's shoulder. The two sat in a comfortable silence for a while, listening to the crackle of the fireplace. This was just too perfect for Ayaka. She sometimes questioned if this was real life anymore. She found it so hard to believe that Lumine would even be her friend, let alone her... Her what, girl? Tell me! What are you? Lumine? Ayaka said. What are we exactly? Ayaka asked hesitantly, not wanting to ruin what they had at that moment, hoping to keep the mood intact. Lumine sat up straight and looked at her. What makes you ask that? We've been... whatever we are for months, and I just wanted to make sure that... Ayaka trailed off. Together? Lumine finished for her. Ayaka nodded. Yeah. Did I do something, Ayaka? Lumine asked, a hint of sadness in her voice that was not uncommon for the blonde, but never usually directed at her. No, Lumine, God no, you're perfect. Yes, she is, girl, you tell her. Ayaka shouted before dialing it back a bit, not wanting to scare her. It's more of the opposite. I often feel like I'm not enough for someone like you, and you're just so perfect, and I feel like I'm not good enough. Girl, you're perfect in your own way. We all love your feet, your sock-covered feet. They're wet and sock-covered. Ayaka was silenced as Lumine pulled her in for a deep hug, her head resting on Lumine's chest, causing no end of embarrassment and blushing for the brunette. You know I hate it when you talk like that, Aya. Lumine ran her hand through Ayaka's hair, a calming action she had found rather effective not too long into their friendship. Neither of the two were rather physically showing off their affection for each other. However, they had far more of that than they did when it came to communication. Ayaka was too afraid of scaring off Lumine with any talk she may need to have with her, while Lumine felt she would open her mouth and someone else would speak for her. It had a rather hard, albeit hidden, effect on the two teens. Yikes. Love the fourth wall breaking here. I know, but we haven't talked about this at all since those 2 months ago, and No. I need to know, Lumine. What are we? The two sat in silence for a while, Lumine still running her hand through her hair. Their hug remained unbroken. Oh, Ayaka, I'm sorry for not saying anything. I just thought... Lumine trailed off, not sure how to finish her own sentence, or if she even wanted to. No, the fault is mine as well. I shouldn't have waited so long. I was just afraid. Afraid of what? Ayaka pulled her head back out of Lumine's hug. Reluctantly. What would you say? Maybe this was just some sort of one-and-done thing, or how would you take a lack of trust, or how would anyone else react to our relationship? Do you know how many people like us exist? Same-sex attraction is not common anywhere in Tibet. How would brother react? How would anyone else? I'm just so afraid of what this news would bring upon you. Well, who cares what they think? I do! Ayaka stood up, walking over to the window. Your whole reputation could be ruined. This is real life, and I couldn't forgive myself if I hurt you. Lumine walked over to her, placing a hesitant hand on her shoulder. I don't care, Ayaka. I love you much more than I care about what anyone else thinks. Ah! I love you, Ayaka, and there's nothing that would ever change how I feel, no matter who or what you are. Lumine said, a small smile on her face as she inched even closer to the girl. Love is love, Ayaka. It doesn't matter who you find it in, and if people can't understand that, well, then you need to make them, or you shove it in their face that you're much happier than they are, Lumine said, which in turn got a stare from Ayaka, which quickly morphed into a choked laugh, which transitioned into tears as Ayaka hugged the blonde. Ayaka had never felt the way that she felt before now. Even when she and Lumine had first kissed, she was so happy. Lumine wanted to be with her. She wouldn't have to worry about her just up and leaving her, like she was some kind of second fiddle. It filled Ayaka with so much warmth to hear her say the things that she had said, to know that she would be able to hear her voice for a long, long time. Ah! I love you so much, Lumine. I don't deserve you. Ayaka mumbled into her shoulder, getting another smile from the blonde. No more of that now, said Lumine sternly. What? None of this self-deprecation. This, I'm not worthy talk. You're not worthless, and I love you, okay? Lumine said while looking Ayaka directly in the eyes. Oh, I feel the tension. Okay, I'll try for you, Ayaka said while smiling weakly. Good. Good now. I think I should go and do this properly this time. Lumine walked over to the kitchen before walking back with a very tiny box. Opening out, she pulled a very tiny ring with was this a piece of candy attached to the top of it? Ayaka, will you be my girlfriend? Oh, I thought she was gonna propose. I got all excited. Ayaka, will you be my girlfriend? Lumine said, holding out the very strange ring to Ayaka. Ayaka, for one, couldn't help it when she burst out laughing at her girlfriend's antics. This was just so very, very Lumine. And yes, her mind was already made up. Of course, Lumine. Ayaka took the ring and put it on her hand, still laughing at the absolute absurdity of her girlfriend. Ah, girlfriend. That sounds so nice. Ah! Oh my god, so cute. Ah, my heart. Well, Ayaka, looks like I'm all yours. Would this be a good time to tell you I'm asexual, or should I wait until the wedding? What? I'm confused. If you thought that was a surprise, then let me tell you, you aren't very good at hiding it. Ayaka snarked, but a very, very crimson-like blush had made its way onto her face at the comment of wedding. Not really sure I was trying to. Lumine said simply. Now, if you wouldn't mind, I'm missing my pillow and the fireplace seems quite nice currently. So can we please go back over there? Lumine said, looking at Ayaka with her puppy dog eyes, even though they didn't work on her. In fact, it was quite the opposite between the two. This pillow wouldn't happen to be my lap, would it? Ayaka asked, already making her way over to the fireplace with her girlfriend. Maybe? I suppose it can't be helped. Come here. Might as well get comfortable. We're gonna be here all night. To say Lumine didn't cheer would be a lie, and Ayaka didn't like lying. So when Ayaka told Toma about it later, and Ayato much later, he believed her wholeheartedly. The two enjoyed the rest of the night comfortably in each other's presence. Not a word needed to be said as the two quickly fell asleep. It's said that the next few days of their vacation were spent with Lumine trying to buy Ayaka copious amounts of things, only for Ayaka to turn them all down. Not only did she dislike people buying gifts for her, although she did for many, many people, she told Lumine that all she needed for Christmas was the blonde herself. Oh! Which of course sent the blonde into a blushing storm and causing her to try to get Lumine more things. Eventually, Ayaka let Lumine get her one thing, a small silver flower necklace. It reminded Ayaka of Lumine's own nickname for her, and to say it brought a small tear to her eye would be quite true. And if the two fell further and further into each other's love and embrace during their stay away, well, no one had to know. Girl, what does that mean? I need to know what happens next. Oh, and so the author also left this really sweet note. It says, "This story goes out to my sisters, my best friends, my brothers, to everyone who finds themselves on the out, to those who feel like they aren't loved or an outcast or misunderstood, that feel like no one can understand them or that no one will ever love them. I want you to know you are all loved. There will be someone who will understand you, who will love you. It's really hard, whether it be different attraction, whether you be gay, bisexual, or any of the above, asexual or non-binary or gender fluid, or even a disability, it's hard. Just know that you're perfect the way you are. There is no need to form yourself to society to like you. Find those who like you for you. And trust me when I say, I know I would. A Merry Christmas from yours truly, the gender fluid asexual Dredgen." Aw, that's so sweet. You know, I really like this story. It was nice and short. It really set the tone. I think it was nice that this story addresses the lesbian relationship and how it might be taboo in a world like Teyvat. I like that they kind of expressed that it's okay to be yourself. I even also kind of liked how they made Lumine asexual in this story. That's not even something I ever would have thought for her. It's actually kind of nice to see her painted in that way. I really liked that story. Let me know what you guys think of it. Let's go to the next one. Alright, the next fanfiction we're going to be reading is a Clorinde x Navia story. It is called Duality of Honor by Ludgens. Navia's gaze rested around the surface of the water just below the outer walls at the Court of Fontaine. The wind blew with kindness, whispering its songs of calm into the ears of those lucky enough to listen to its stillness. Puddles of water slowly dried up into the masonry. She could almost feel the drops of primordial seawater clawing their way into her body. The cold shock of sinking into the stagnant lake, the ruins that threatened to collapse onto her, and the traveler in mere seconds after that. A shiver went down her spine, a bitter cocktail of sadness, adrenaline and helplessness. She clenched her fist onto the frilly edge of her dress, trying to swallow down the knot inside her throat, even though she knew it wouldn't work. Not now, nor later. Everyone was safe. No more sacrifices were to be made. The deep silence after the storm had arrived like the heaviest of burdens to bear until things went back to normal. She took a deep breath as she noticed the cold tears paving their way down her cheeks, disappearing into the fabric of her skirt. She hadn't been able to grieve for the loss of Malus and Silver, nor the people of Poisson. It feels like the worst of outcomes. It was over, and yet guilt crept out through her sorrow. The first of many sobs finally escaped her throat, bringing her hands to cover her face. I'm sorry, she mumbled, ashamed of her lack of posture, of her sadness, ashamed of not doing anything else. I'm so sorry. The rain had indeed stopped long ago, but her pain had just begun, crashing into her heart like a ram. She went through everything once more and asked the winds why did it turn out the way it did. Why could she only stand and watch all over again? Navia! The voice startled her, making her mind go blank for a second at that unexpected company. Clorinde! The blonde woman tried to wipe away the tears, but she only managed to sniffle and turn away. I'm sorry, it's not my best moment. May I? Navia nodded in silence. Clorinde sat down by her side, leaving her hat behind her, and stretched an arm towards her shoulder, lightly pulling her so her head rested on her shoulder. You asked why everything turned out the way it did, she sighed. I don't have an absolute answer. No one does. As far as I know, things just happened. Everyone did what they could. That includes you. I don't think you're giving yourself the credit that is due. But you did what you could in that moment, didn't you? Evacuating everyone at Poisson, the ships deployed to rescue as many people as possible. Important lives were lost, but many others were saved. That deserves its own merit. Navia kept her head laying on the other woman's side, unable to shake the guilt off her heart as she kept staring into the ocean. It's not your fault. She hugged her, trying to let her know she wasn't on her own, that she had the right to feel sad. I give you my word, it wasn't your fault. But she could only feel the sting in her heart, the tears streaming down onto Clorinde's shirt. She felt like a fragile, desperate being that could barely keep herself together, and at that moment sniffles turned into sobbing, the messiest of cries. Fear, mourning, yearning for her bodyguards and friends whom she wouldn't ever see again. She got to say farewell, but it wouldn't feel quite right for a long time. The duelist remained silent. For Navia, it was like finally being allowed to break. It felt awful but necessary. It was safe with Clorinde, as if her silence meant that she would make sure no pieces would get lost in the swell of her emotion. Deep inside, even without saying it, the woman begged for her to know that no matter the burden, be it in life or death, she would carry it with her. After a while, they weren't sure if mere minutes or hours had passed when she regained her composure, but dusk was about to break onto the skies. Navia took a deep breath before Clorinde's arm slid down her side once more, handing her a handkerchief from her pocket. Feeling better? The duelist offered. A lot better, thanks. She cleaned the undersides of her eyes. The smudged makeup probably didn't give her the best of looks. Sorry you have to see me like this. Navia. Yes? I know it's kind of weird to say this, but I'm happy that you feel safe enough to be like this with me. Oh, she blushed! She blushed. I'm grateful. Well, you did follow me around for the last 3 years. She tried to lighten the air. That was, you kept your promise. Clorinde froze, unsure of how to react, but before she could mumble any words, Navia's gloved hand covered her eyes. Nav, the following could only be described as bliss, for she felt the softness of the woman's lips on her own. Oh, it had been such a long time since their last kiss, and yet she couldn't get over the way it made her nerves a wreck as if it was the first time. That warmth left her along with the hand over her sight. She turned her head back, unable to look at the equally embarrassed duelist. I know I'm still processing all of this, and the layers are horribly complicated, but if you don't mind, I'd like for you to stay with me. Her hands searched for Clorinde's, but she was quick to answer, intertwining their fingers, palms against the cold stone. I promise to make you happy. Well, there's no need to, Navia stuttered, blushing at the bold claim. Can I try? The night swirling in her eyes begged for a chance, the same yearning she had thought through it the last 3 years, every time their eyes met. Clorinde heard her own mix of confusion, guilt, and sorrow. It could be the two of them, yes. That sounded comforting, like a nap below the trees or a freshly made pastry. You don't have to ask. She smiled at her. As soon as the words left her throat, Clorinde pulled her in by the waist, her other hand carefully caressing the side of her cheek, fingertips lightly touching the nape of her neck, only for their lips to meet once more. Ah! The softness of her touch. Oh, how she missed it. They parted once more, only for Navia to wrap her arms around her neck, to pull her into a deeper kiss, a passion she had longed to share for ages, and for a moment it was as if time had stopped between them. The deafest of silences couldn't be any more fitting. Clorinde, she carefully chose her words, as confusing as everything was. I much prefer how things are between us now. I'd like them to keep getting better, but As much as I'd like to, I won't be at my best for a while. She swallowed, inadvertently avoiding the other woman's stare. Knowing that, do you still want to try? Clorinde smiled. My intent hasn't changed. She knew her answer from the very beginning. Navia gave her back the warmest smile she had ever seen in her life. Can we stay a little bit longer like this then? As much as you want. Okay, I really liked that one. It was short, sweet, and it was just cute, okay? It was really cute. Ludgens, that was an awesome story. I need part 2. I need to know what happens next. Come on now. No, but honestly, I really liked that one. I like how it's set after the events that happen in Fontaine. So it makes it feel more like canon, like maybe that's what was happening when we were off fighting the stupid whale narwhal guy. You know, this is what we should have been seeing, right? This is the content we should have been seeing instead of fighting that whale. Okay. Anyways, that was a good one. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, the next one that we're going to read is Alhaitham and Kaveh fanfiction. This one is called The Architect and the Scribe. It is by this lovely username here, this very lovely username here. Credit to them. All right, okay, so we're starting with Kaveh's point of view. Are you serious? You're declining another one of my drafts? Kaveh said a bit loudly. I just think that it looks like it would be very expensive, the man said back. Of course it is. Some of the materials are going to be what holds up the house and makes it not collapse. Change this one detail and it destroys the whole aesthetic or building, Kaveh said very sternly. What is wrong with this guy? It's the 5th draft and he's never happy. I just think that... I huffed. If you're messing with me, then I quit. Kaveh started walking, or more accurately stomping away. I need a drink. Kaveh grumbled angrily, storming off into the bar and sitting at the table in the back sulking. Could this day get any worse? I grumbled, and ordered about 3 drinks. Probably? I don't even know. At least there's no Alhaithams here to annoy me right now. Okay, here we go. We're getting into Alhaitham's point of view. Alhaitham was reading when he noticed how quiet it was in the house. Alhaitham sighed and put his shoes on. That idiot. Alhaitham grumbled, walking to the bar, where he presumed Kaveh was, passed out and drunk. When Alhaitham walked into the tavern, and there Kaveh was, drunk and half asleep. Something about him made him look so peaceful. Alhaitham couldn't help but stare at Kaveh, noticing his golden locks falling all over his face, and found it adorable. A few seconds passed before Alhaitham snapped out of his trance and sighed, picking up Kaveh bridal style, and carrying him home before he realized how it might look, and so he started screaming inside his head, but not showing it on his face, except a very noticeable blush, and he couldn't help but think, no, stop thinking about that, brain. Alhaitham yelled at himself in his head. Why the hell was I thinking that? Alhaitham hissed at himself. Okay, he's a snake now, okay. Finally, after mentally fighting with his head, Alhaitham reached the house and laid Kaveh in his bed and quickly left before he could think anything. What the hell? Alhaitham said, pinching the bridge of his nose. Okay, back to Kaveh's perspective. Ugh. Kaveh woke up groaning and rubbing his eyes. His head felt like someone was tearing it apart. Kaveh's eyes focused on his surroundings and he looked around. Oh, Alhaitham probably carried me home. Kaveh realized and then sat there thinking. Whatever, I'll thank him later. What time is it? He thought and looked at his alarm clock. 10:30 a.m. Thank God I didn't schedule anything today. Kaveh stretched and decided to get into his usual loose white shirt and black leggings. He decided to leave his hair down. After a bit, Kaveh finally came out of his room and ate some food. Maybe I'll just work on some more designs and... Kaveh trailed off and noticed a few pieces of furniture. It was a couch with dull colors and interesting designs on it, to say the least. Overall, it was hideous. Did Alhaitham buy another frickin' monstrosity? Kaveh asked himself out loud, glaring at the couch like it murdered his whole family. When Alhaitham finally returned home after work, he was greeted by Kaveh with a murderous look in his eyes. What? Alhaitham started to say, but got cut off. What is that? Kaveh just spat, jabbing a finger at the couch. It's a couch, a common form of furniture in living rooms that people lounge on, and sometimes sleep on. Alhaitham responded calmly. Alhaitham, I swear to Celestia! Kaveh swore, but Alhaitham was focused on something else, having a tiny smug smile on his face. Haitham? Alhaitham questioned, trying not to laugh at the cute nickname. Don't change the subject, Kaveh yelled, blushing softly, clearly embarrassed. No, I'm not leaving this be, Alhaitham said, a bit smugly and mocking. Did you call me Haytham? Alhaitham asked, walking closer to Kaveh, who was oblivious to Alhaitham's intentions. Sorry, that just slipped out, Kaveh said, looking away. Alhaitham stared at Kaveh, but it was interrupted by a knock at the door. I'll get it, Kaveh said, walking over to the door and opening to reveal Tighnari and Cyno. What are you? Kaveh stopped, remembering that they were going to play TCG today. Did you get drunk again and forget? Tighnari asked, blinking. Maybe, Kaveh said, looking down. What do you expect? He can't face his emotions, so he acts childish and gets drunk, Alhaitham said, coldly crossing his arms. Just because you're rich, handsome, and have every girl falling over you doesn't mean you can be a jerk to people, Kaveh said loudly. Cyno watched, grinning. Why is this always a catastrophe when those two fight? Oh god, it's never a fanfiction without a nice joke from Cyno. Cyno said proudly, making everyone stare at him in pain. Don't worry, Cyno, I'm with you, I understand. Get it? 'Cause those two are as vicious as cats when they... Cyno then got cut off by Tighnari. Please, Cyno, we get it, just stop. Poor Cyno, man, justice for Cyno in this fanfiction. Fine, Cyno pouted and set up the table for TCG playing. Some time passes and... Finally, Kaveh exclaimed, killing one of Alhaitham's cards before noticing that Alhaitham had an evil grin. Why are you grinning? Kaveh said, slowly, making Cyno and Tighnari confused. He's grinning? Tighnari asked. You guys didn't notice? I've known him since forever, so I guess only I can notice. Kaveh hummed to himself, thinking, and then he noticed that Alhaitham's turn. In one sweep, he revived his dead character, killed the remaining card Kaveh had, and played 2 healing cards. What? Kaveh exclaimed, dumbfounded. You're out of the game, Alhaitham said, secretly finding Kaveh's expression hilarious and a tiny bit cute. Ooh. After a few more rounds, Cyno and Tighnari headed home, leaving Kaveh and Alhaitham alone. I'm gonna clean up, Kaveh said, going to clean off the table when Alhaitham grabbed his wrist. What did you mean when you called me handsome? What? What did you mean when you called me handsome? Alhaitham said, staring at Kaveh, unblinking. Where did this question come from? Kaveh said, startled. But girls think you're handsome, so that's why. Kaveh continued, confused. Interesting, Alhaitham murmured. Why do you ask? You know what? Never mind, I don't care. Kaveh rolled his eyes and left the room, leaving Alhaitham alone. Pfft. Alhaitham let out a soft chuckle and went out to purposely buy more ugly furniture. Okay, honestly, iconic. I'm here for that. Alright, Alhaitham's perspective. I can't wait to make him furious with this, Alhaitham thought, smirking softly, bringing this couch home. It's really ugly, Alhaitham sighed. Oh my god, and the author included the picture of the couch. Oh my gosh. So this is what's in Alhaitham and Kaveh's living room, in case you wanted a canon photo. Here it is. When Alhaitham got home, he placed the couch in the corner and read, waiting for Kaveh to appear and see the monstrosity he bought. He glanced up at Kaveh, who had just entered the room, watching as he noticed the couch. Wow, it looks like I made him furious. Alhaitham thought. He glanced back up to see Kaveh still glaring at the couch like it murdered his family, making Alhaitham having to cover a chuckle by coughing. Okay, now we're into Kaveh's perspective. This is getting spicy. What the hell is that? Alhaitham bought it, definitely. It looks like trash. Kaveh thought angrily, still glaring at the couch, and moving his eyes to Alhaitham. Alhaitham? Kaveh said coldly, glaring daggers at him. What is that? He continued staring at Alhaitham, furious. A couch, obviously. Need me to give its definition again? Alhaitham responded calmly, but looked a tiny bit confused as Kaveh picked up a pillow. Take this, you entitled jerk! Kaveh yelled, starting to throw pillows at him rapid-fire speed. Kaveh! Alhaitham got cut off by a pillow smacking him in the face. Oh, you're gonna regret that, Alhaitham said, serious, and started fighting back in the pillow fight. After a while, Alhaitham managed to capture Kaveh and stop him from throwing pillows with a hug from behind. And right at that moment, Tighnari came in and had a very surprised expression. Did I interrupt something? He said slowly. Yes, I was about to beat him in a pillow fight. Kaveh started, but got interrupted by Alhaitham. Sure. Have you forgotten who exactly is trapped right now? He said mockingly. Ooh, he's trapped? He's trapped! Meanwhile, Tighnari was extremely suspicious. His keen eyes noticed a light blush on Alhaitham's face, but also noticed Kaveh was oblivious. Kaveh really is innocent, isn't he? Tighnari murmured as Kaveh escaped from Alhaitham's arms and went to make everybody food. Okay, time for Alhaitham's point of view. After Kaveh left, Tighnari turned to Alhaitham. So, what's your relationship with Kaveh? Tighnari asked curiously, taking note that when he asked Alhaitham that question, he turned away quickly. Just friends, Alhaitham said calmly, but a soft stutter escaped, showing he was a bit embarrassed. Then why is your breath and your heartbeat a bit faster? Tighnari questioned, not giving up. Alhaitham went silent, thinking. Do I like him? He's annoying, like a mosquito, but he can be cute. I don't know, Alhaitham said calmly, not betraying the panic in his mind. But at a moment we're just friends, he continued calmly, seeming off in his own world. I should go back to Sino before he gets worried. Bye, Tighnari said, leaving full of smiles. Hey guys! Oh, Tighnari left. Kaveh stared at the door. Anyways, Alhaitham, I made dinner. He continued and threw the couch in the closet. Damn, he's strong. Kaveh, Alhaitham started but trailed off. What? Never mind. Alhaitham walked into the kitchen to grab food. When he sat down, he was going to eat silently, but Kaveh continued asking about it. What were you going to say, Alhaitham? Were you going to yell at me for stuffing that ugly couch in the closet? He said, huffing. Alhaitham grabbed his collar to try and make a point. I wasn't going to say that, Alhaitham said angrily before noticing how close he was and sliding away. Sorry, he said, looking away. For what? The blonde said, confused. I raised my voice at you, so sorry, Alhaitham sighed. Oh, okay, Kaveh said, who was now cleaning the dishes. Okay, Kaveh's point of view, let's get this going. When is the angsty kiss going to happen? Why is he apologizing to me? Does he have a fever? Does he... Kaveh shook his head a few times and went outside for a much-needed walk and took time to think. No way does he... Okay, just stop, Kaveh. Think about the little duckies or something, he said to himself, now looking at a feathery white duck swimming in the pond. Just now, he realized how serene the pond looked. The trees hanging overhead, the soft creaking sound of the swing he was sitting on, the moon filtering through the trees. He couldn't help but sigh at the beauty of it all, and almost didn't notice Alhaitham sitting next to him. Haitham? Kaveh started but got cut off by Alhaitham. Heh, Haitham again, he said teasingly. Just shut up. Why aren't you being your cold, stubborn, jerky self right now? Kaveh questioned, confused. I'm not a jerk, Alhaitham responded calmly. And why not have another side I'll only let you see? Oh, I'm melting. He continued, obviously trying to flirt with the oblivious Kaveh, who just blinked. Oh, thanks, Kaveh smiled brightly and didn't notice Alhaitham slowly inching closer. By the way, Kaveh, he said. Huh? The blonde looked at him, confused. The setting was perfect and romantic, and it was just them. But Kaveh hadn't noticed it yet, or what Alhaitham was about to do. Until Kaveh's crush finally closed the distance and kissed him. Ah! Oh my gosh, Kaveh's point of view. Kaveh was going crazy in his mind, having a gay panic as Alhaitham kissed him. At first, sweet little innocent Kaveh had no clue what Alhaitham was doing, but now he found himself practically melting in Alhaitham's arms as he kissed him. Kaveh tried to speak, but it was muffled. After a few seconds, Alhaitham pulled away quickly and looked like he was about to leave, flustered. Stuttering, Kaveh stared at him. What did you just do? Kaveh managed to stutter out, still blushing hard. I kissed you, a natural way of showing someone their love. Alhaitham stated calmly. Stop giving me dictionary definitions! Kaveh raised his voice, embarrassed and still really flustered. Alhaitham let out a rare chuckle and pulled Kaveh close to him. Kaveh went silent, his brain shutting down as he just sat blushing in Alhaitham's arms. So that's how I can make you shut up, Alhaitham whispered into Kaveh's ear. Shut up, Kaveh mumbled, looking down, still blushing a lot. Alhaitham hummed at Kaveh, who was still in his arms, and decided to pick him up bridal style and carry him home. Hey, wait a minute, Kaveh shouted, flustered again, but not trying to escape his hold. Instead, just squirming a bit, making Alhaitham make a little smirk that only Kaveh would notice, making him blush even more. Now we're going back to Alhaitham's point of view. It is now the next morning. A while later, Alhaitham decided to get up and see what Kaveh was doing, but he was still out cold. Oh well, Alhaitham sighed and walked out of Kaveh's room, out the door, going shopping for groceries since Kaveh was having some much-needed sleep. Sometimes he worries me with how much he works. Alhaitham sighed, buying the rest of the veggies and heading home, accidentally bumping into Nilou. Oh, hey Alhaitham, Nilou started to say, but Alhaitham just went around her, making her pout a lot. What? This author hates Nilou! They just said in their author's notes, he, I hate Nilou. What? What a Nilou hater. I don't like the story anymore. As Alhaitham walked home silently, pretty annoyed at Nilou for trying to flirt with him. Though she doesn't know about him and Kaveh, it's still annoying, Alhaitham thought. When he got home, Kaveh was a little burrito on the couch watching TV and looked so happy. What if Nilou tries to tear us apart? Bro, I don't really understand what's going on with Nilou. They have not established that Nilou is in this universe. So I'm a little bit confused. I don't really feel like Nilou's a threat here, but okay. And that's the end of the story. They didn't finish the chapter, so I guess we're gonna never know what happens with Nilou, but it's safe to say that Nilou was not a threat to Kaveh and Alhaitham's relationship. That one was cute. I really felt as I was reading it that I could hear Kaveh's voice especially in my head, so I think the author did a pretty good job of displaying that. So good job to this author for bringing Kaveh to life. I really wish that I could see what happens next, but it doesn't look like they have any further parts, so we'll just have to imagine what happens. Now, I know you're probably wondering what all that talk about a special secret surprise was all about. Well, after taking this trip down memory lane and experiencing the fanfiction of today, I have decided that it was high time for me to dip my wet sock-covered feet into the water myself and try my hand at writing my own fanfiction. Have I grown my skills at all since my Grace and Chance and O2L writing days? If you know, you know. Or will it turn out to be just as cringy, if not more, than ever before? Well, I will let you be the judge of that. But what should I even write about? With so many ships, what can I choose that is unique and interesting? Well, let me tell you that I might be in the minority on this, but I am honestly so obsessed with Citlali, like beyond obsessed. I love her so much. She is so cute and quirky, and I just love her personality. I was so excited to see her appearance in the 5.3 patch and the opportunity to get to know her more during her tribal story quest, The Color of Memory. During this quest, I couldn't help but notice the feeling that Citlali might be crushing on the Traveler. I mean, did you see this scene? Oh my god, my literal heart. Look at her blushing, like, I literally cannot breathe, oh my god. And since I am a Lumine enjoyer, my heart was literally screaming, yes, Yuri, I'm here for it, yes, yes, I love girls, this is amazing. And yes, I know some players are speculating that she is more interested in Aether. I mean, come on, that man is gay. I don't see this at all, but Lumine and Citlali? Yes, this is what my heart needs. So during her quest, Citlali mentions wanting limited editions of 2 very specific light novels that you can get from Yae Publishing House. After completing this quest, you can actually go to Inazuma and purchase these novels from Yae Publishing House. And if you return to Citlali's house, you can use the house key that she gives you at the end of the quest to enter and leave the books there for her. She is sleeping when you arrive, so you can leave the books and come back the next day in real life to receive further detail on this interaction, where you will also see that she hasn't touched the books because of how special and valuable they are to her. Like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Anyways, all that being said, I love her. So here is some Lumine x Citlali fanfiction that I wrote. Please, please be kind and enjoy. A stray cherry blossom flower lands in the palm of my hand as I gaze at the hillside across the river. I see someone approaching with a familiar smirk that I have become quite acquainted with. Well, 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 look what we have here, Miko says. Looks like today is my lucky day. Hi, Miko, long time no see. It's never a complete trip to Inazuma without visiting you, Paimon says. It's nice to hear you speaking so truthfully, Miko says. If only we had an eternity to spend catching up after all this time. I will always keep you in mind when we return, I say. Do you have the light novels I requested? Indeed I do. Miko hands me the novels. They are wrapped in a pink ribbon, her signature color, a delicate touch. You are so lucky to be connected with someone like me. That's the Miko I know and love, as quick-witted as ever. I know, I say, placing the novels in my bag. I am thankful to have you, Miko. Aw, how sweet. This feels just like old times, Miko says. I won't keep you too long. Hurry back to Natlan now, but do try to spend a little more time with me next time. We always want to see you. Paimon wishes our schedules lined up a bit better this time, but we will be back in no time, Paimon says. I'll hold you to that, Miko says. I'm expecting another meal together. On you, of course. Miko nods, and with a wave of her hand, she walks away. Not once did that mischievous smirk leave her face. I smile and wave, taking in one last deep breath of the crisp spring air. Glancing again at my palm, I place the flower in the front pocket of my bag. It's right next to the gold key with the purple feathers. It should be safe there. "Oh, are you bringing that back for you-know-who?" Paimon says. We share a knowing glance. I knew it. Paimon can tell by the look on your face. "Oh, stop it, you," I say. I rub my hand over my cheek. It feels warm. "Well, I'm sure she's going to love it," Paimon says, getting one last eyebrow raise in. "We should get going. The ship is going to leave soon." I give Paimon a nod and take in the Inazuman landscape. It feels like an eternity since I last sat here, and so much has changed. The town feels livelier. There are new stalls with long lines filled with eager tourists. Shogunite soldiers sport their visions on their holsters with honor. Children play underneath the sakura trees, catching the flowers as they fall to the ground. There is a sense of peace that I feel when I am here. I hope we can return again soon, I say as we walk together, but I am happy to be going back. Paimon agrees. I hope that we can bring more of our friends with us next time, Paimon says. I think I know someone who would lose their mind over how beautiful it is here, especially to be here with you. Paimon, you really are something. I look away, sensing Paimon's expression staring daggers into my soul. I can only thank Miko for helping her master the art of that piercing glare. Only one person comes to mind. She knows it, but I'll never admit to it. Well, anyways, let's make sure we get on the ship. We won't want to keep anyone waiting. Paimon and I continue chatting as we make our way to the port. We talk about the journey ahead and plan out a list of friends we need to visit. Before long, we start our voyage back to the mainland. I close my eyes and see all the smiling faces of my dear friends. It'll be nice to visit the hot springs again. Imagining the warmth and the steam relaxes my body. I'm also looking forward to training with Kachina. When she last wrote to me, she said how she's been getting so much stronger than she was the last time that we had practiced. I wrote back saying I can't wait to see how far she's come. I open my bag and pull out the novels. I run my hand across the covers and feel the embossing under my fingertips. I wonder how she's going to react when she sees them. I can imagine her eyes widening as she pinches her skin just to make sure it's all real. I can't wait to see her smile and her rosy cheeks when she meets my gaze. I can't wait to hear her squeals of joy as she runs off to her pillows and sets up camp for the night. I'm sure she will touch every page by the next sunrise. Traveler? Hey, traveler, Paimon asks. I open my eyes and see the lush baobabs on the riverside. Children play with their Yakumasaurus companions. We are here. Out of all the places we've traveled, this is the one that feels the most like home. Oh, sorry, I must have dozed off, I say. Come on, Paimon, let's get going. Paimon and I set off from the port at the People of the Springs. We traverse the country, visiting our friends along the way as we check off the items on our itinerary. We enjoy our time together and make memories I won't soon forget. As we make our way to the Masters of the Nightwind, each step forward begins to feel lighter. We've been walking for hours, but I no longer feel tired. As I approach the house in the mountainside, I slow my pace and take a deep breath. I wiggle my fingers. Paimon notices my shaky hands, but she doesn't say anything this time. Come on, traveler. She's waiting for us, Paimon says. Her smile is beaming at me. She doesn't know it yet, but this is going to be the best day ever. Clutching the straps of my bag, I step forward up the worn stone steps. I feel a loose string and twist it around my finger. I feel the blood rush through my entire body and out to my hands as I yank it from the seam. I open the front pocket and pull out the golden key with the purple feathers. The metal feels cool against my warm hands. With the world slowing down around me, I lift the key to the lock and twist it until I hear a soft click. The warmth rushes to my ears and I can barely hear the humming of the door as it opens. I walk inside to a quiet room. Plushies and books are all over the floor. Seems like she was enjoying these not too long ago, but not at the moment. I feel the coldness on my face. Aw, it looks like she's not home. Or maybe she's sleeping, Paimon says. Maybe we can leave a note for her. I nod at Paimon and walk towards a messy table. I open my bag and pull out the ribbon-wrapped novels. Feeling the smoothness of the covers one last time, I place them on the table and let out a deep breath. It was the first one I had made since stepping inside. A jar of ink and a quill pen sit on top of the table. I grab it and write a special note. Citlali, we found the books you were looking for. You were sleeping when we got here, and we didn't want to wake you. I read it again and again before placing it on the table. I put it right in the center where she would see it. With a shaky exhale, I turn away from the room, glancing at Paimon and gesturing towards the door. "Aw, traveler. Paimon hates seeing you this sad," Paimon says. "It's okay, we can come back tomorrow. Maybe by then she will have read the novels and we can spend all day talking about them." "Yeah," I say. I clutch onto the key. It feels less cold now. I begin walking towards the door. Reaching for the handle, it begins to turn on its own. On the other side, I see a glimpse of pink hair and wavy blue eyes. I look down to see a hand with purple nails opening the door from the front side. "Oh, traveler! I wasn't expecting you to be here," Citlali says. She smiles a little, but it doesn't reach her eyes. She puts her arms up behind her back and turns her head away. "I really should have cleaned up this place a little before leaving, if I would have known the traveler would be visiting." Citlali's thoughts echo in my mind. I smile at her, placing my hand on her shoulder. "I don't mind. You know that. There's no need to worry." With nothing but a sincere glance, Citlali knows my true intentions. She shoots a grimace at me. "Ugh! When will I remember that you can hear me like this? You really have seen the worst of me, traveler." Citlali and I laugh without saying a word. Two friends stand in the busy room, silently sharing stories about our time apart. No time passes, but I look out the window to see the sun lowering below the horizon. "Oh, Citlali, the reason we came here is to give you this," Paimon says, nudging me with her elbow. "Traveler, you should be the one to give it to her." I nod and grab the novels from the messy tabletop. I hold them behind my back as I walk towards Citlali in the center of the room. "Paimon thought you might be sleeping, so we were going to just leave these here. But since you're back, the traveler really wants to give them to you herself." "Oh? Traveler, how could you? You know I don't have anything to give you in return. There's no need to do anything like that for me," Citlali says, wailing her hands around her face. I can feel the heat radiating off of them as I stand in front of her. She tries to hide her eyes, but I can see them through the spaces between her fingers. "You know that doesn't matter to me," I say, fumbling with the ribbon behind my back. "Close your eyes and hold out your hands." Citlali moves her hands from her face, revealing her red cheeks underneath. With eyes closed, she turns her hands outward in front of me, filling the gap of space between our bodies. I inhale, feeling the serenity of this moment, as I watch her try her best to keep still and refrain from peeking. Holding the novels, I bring my hands out in front of me, hovering them just inches away from Citlali's open palms. I place them in her hands and curl her fingertips around the edges. "Okay, you can open them." Citlali opens her left eye slightly, then her right. She looks down and pulls the ribbon between her thumb and index finger. The sun, moon, and stars pause to watch this moment. "Oh, no way! Is this actually what I think it is?" Citlali exclaims. With eager hands, she yanks the ribbon out in one swift movement. I watch as the realization hits her, a twinkle in her eye and a deep breath in before she squeals, trying her best to get the right words to come out. "This is Shogun Almighty, reborn as Raiden with unlimited power, first edition? And no way, Pretty Please Kitsune Gucci, limited deluxe edition?" Citlali says, holding the novels to her face. How? How did you? How?" "The traveler has all the best connections," Paimon says, wiggling her eyebrows at me. I smile and the three of us laugh. Citlali's laugh is more of her trying to mask her tears of joy than anything else. "I do happen to know the owner of Yai Publishing House," I say. "I wanted you to have these." Citlali's eyes start to bubble over. Her eyes move from me to the novels and back again. Beneath her labored breathing, I can hear her mind. I can't believe anyone, and I mean anyone, would do something like this for me." I nod at her, speaking my mind without saying a word from my mouth. "I wanted your dream to come true." Citlali smiles back at me. She clutches the novels and hugs them on her chest. "Would you like to read them together?" I nod my head. Citlali and I both look to see Paimon, hands on her hips and eyebrows raised. "What's going on? Are you two doing that telepathy thing again?" Paimon asks. Citlali and I laugh. Paimon crosses her arms over her chest and shakes her head. "Fine, Paimon can take a hint. Just let me know when you're ready to head out, traveler." Paimon takes her leave to the other room, leaving just the two of us. "Are you ready?" Citlali looks at me, holding out her hand. I nod as our fingers meet, interlocking them and touching our palms together. Her hand feels clammy but warm and soft. She leads me over to her abundance of pillows on the floor, sitting next to each other. Gingerly, she places Pretty Please Kitsune Guji at the top of the stack of other light novels. The ones in this stack are in pristine condition. She then uses the inside of her pinky to open the cover of Shogun Almighty, Reborn as Raiden with Unlimited Power. You don't even know how much this means to me. You mean so much to me. Citlali averts her gaze, studying the inside cover of the novel. I can see her eyes moving to look at me, even though she pretends to look away. I would go through everything again, if it means I get to see your happy face like that one more time. Citlali beams at me, holding her hand to the back of my head and guiding it forward until our foreheads touch. It feels warm. Let's get started. Citlali readjusts her position, leaning her back against my chest as she settles in for a long night of reading. I open my bag, pulling out the cherry blossom flower and placing it in her hair. With her facing away, I can still sense her rose-painted cheeks as she inhales while I graze my fingers against her ear. She pretends to not notice and begins reading to herself. Such is life. Mom and Dad always tell me to know right from wrong, but the reality is that we were all choosing the lesser of two evils. Citlali continues reading in her head. I listen as her voice soothes my soul and calms the world around me. Tiredness begins to overwhelm me as I feel my body relax while resting my head on her shoulder. Her voice begins to slow, quietly closing the novel and returning it to her precious collection. She rests her head against mine and I can hear one final thought before falling asleep. I could stay like this for another 200 years. And that's all, folks. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, but I really love enjoying the fan culture around Genshin, and I hope you all enjoyed as well. If you did, I kindly encourage you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. We are currently on our way to 500 subscribers, and it would mean so much to me to have you join us. Also, be sure to comment which ships are your favorite, and let me know if you'd like me to read any specific stories in the future, whether it be your favorite fanfiction or possibly one that even yourself has written. Leave a link for me. I am looking forward to reading it. Other than that, thank you all again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.